California's redwood trees reach heights of nearly 400 feet, the equivalent of a 37-story building, while the average maple tree will only ever reach about 50 feet. Both intake water, nutrients, CO2, sunlight, yet there's an incredible disconnect between the heights they achieve. I want you to take a minute to look at their shape, the way they branch out, the size and thickness of their trunks, the way their roots grow, their foundation. The successful, both trees and people, are T-shaped. Now, we're going to come back to this in a minute, but for now, we'll leave the redwoods over here. I never thought I'd be an entrepreneur at 16. I also never thought I'd stop growing at 5'6". But I guess the world is just full of surprises. The start of my journey was a Dunkin' coffee run with my dad. It was 3 days before I got my license. Life was good. And for the past year, I was told that I get my dad's car. So I had absolutely no reason to work. I had enough money for lunch with friends, and I absolutely hated the idea of working a 9 to 5. My first job was as a busser at this local restaurant, and it was one of those restaurants that didn't actually need a busser, so I would just awkwardly pace around the room for 8 hours looking for something to do. Apparently, there's only so many times you can refill a salt shaker. And as we're pulling up to the drive-thru, my dad asked me what I'm going to do when I get my license, because I have nothing to drive. Me, confidently, says, "You're Audi." He also very confidently says, "No." But after a few hours of negotiating, I managed to get driving privileges until I bought my own ride. And I figured if I was going to buy a car, I might as well get something nice. The goal was a Jeep Wrangler by June, so I could haul my friends and surfboards to the beach for the summer. So $20,000 in 10 months, a seemingly impossible feat for a 16-year-old. So I went out and created 4 sources of income. I got 2 jobs, started reselling on Craigslist, and started an online business. Now, where did I get the energy and drive to go from enjoying a relaxing summer with no obligations or priorities to starting up multiple sources of income? I actually don't just have an unusual amount of motivation. I'm just as addicted to TikTok as everyone else. See, motivation is a very volatile thing that's non-existent a good chunk of the time. Simply put, I had to upgrade myself and able to sustain an upgrade in my income. I had to develop one of those root skills, my why. The reason I was doing all of this in the first place. At first it was a car, but as time went on, it developed into something much greater. As the ball began to roll and I started to believe in my abilities, there was absolutely no reason to stop at a car when the door was wide open and full of possibilities. A why, including yourself alone, will only get you so far. There'll come a point when things get so tough that your mind just compromises a car out of your scope of possibility. But when you set it to something greater than yourself, it'd be selfish to quit. For me, I imagined a future in which I can travel the world with my friends and provide for my family without ever having to worry about finances or working a 9 to 5. Time is our greatest asset. And to spend it in the rat race away from my family is the last thing I'd want to do. Money will come and go. But for us mortals, time is finite. So my why morphed into something that would give me sustainable discipline to push through when I didn't have the motivation to. So back to business. I would spend the early days of the week delivering pizza, the second half of the week bussing tables, the weekends reselling, and any second of free time on the online business. Now, I knew the real moneymaker would be the online business, so I tried to focus on that. And after investing over $1,500 and hundreds of hours of my time, the results were life-changing. One sale for $26.96. Cha-ching. With my outstanding results, I was able to go back to Dunkin' and buy one more coffee and maple sugar bacon sandwich and get right back to the drawing board. This is how my week was structured. Everything was spread so thin that hardly any of my hustles got any true nurturing or understanding. I was the maple tree. my energy was sporadically distributed to hundreds of leaves and branches, and as a result, they all suffered from a nutrient deficit. The truth is, any one of those could have been used to achieve my goal. As Confucius once said, the man who chases 2 rabbits catches neither. And needless to say, chasing 4 rabbits wasn't bound to produce any better results. To skyrocket success, one must become T-shaped, like the redwood. A rock-solid foundation to skyrocket a single branch to groundbreaking heights. On one end, we have a generalist. Someone who's capable of just about everything, but isn't necessarily an expert in anything. And on the other end, we have a specialist. Someone who's just good at one single skill. The sweet spot is with the T-shape. A foundation coupled with an expertise. So I decided to pick something and run with it. I was scrolling through one of those top 50 side hustles pages for the 18th time when I stumbled upon digital marketing. Now, I'd already had a very good understanding of how digital marketing worked for my online business. In other words, part of my foundation was already set. So I dropped the rest of my hustles, printed some business cards, and went out the next day going door to door pitching my services. I became an expert in just one thing and poured all of my energy into developing my craft. And while it didn't happen overnight, I only started seeing payments come through to my bank account when I focused my energy on one output. I wouldn't consider myself successful in any objective sense, but it was a major step up from where I was. I was able to develop a why to push through when it got tough and pour all of my energy into one output. I set my foundation and nurtured one branch. And with that, my maple tree is slowly becoming a redwood. While I might not own an Audi or Jeep Wrangler, I now own a business at 17, and that's pretty cool too. Thank you.